Hi, my name is Aaron High, and I'm from Whitney High School in Cerritos, California, and I recently found out that I was accepted to Harvard College. PACP has been a help in my high school career for the last 4 years, and I've been taking their ACT classes, which helped me score 35. I found out that the teachers here are the most outstanding teachers possible, as well as the most genuine counselors ever. Ms. Kelly has also been a second mother in my life. She's been helping me ever since I started attending here. And without them, I know that I could never achieve my dream of getting into Harvard College.
Okay, looks like we get most of those who registered in the room here, so I'm going to go ahead and start. Hello, my name is Chris Bonneau. I am the counseling director for both PA College Prep and for Pacific Academy. Today, I wanted to cover something that is certainly very timely, and that is, what do I do now that my summer plans have blown up on me? Prior to this, obviously, students had spent months kind of working out what they would be doing over the course of the summer, be it a job or an internship or some sort of summer camp. And by and large, those have gone away for understandable reasons, but the question is, how do we fill the void that is left from those things disappearing? So there I am, pre-quarantine, looking a lot bitter. All right, so for a lot of kids, the summer represents a time when they can do things to either expand their interests, maybe take a bridge class to help them over the summer, go to a camp where they can learn some new skills. That's not the case. Summer camps are closed. The internships are dried up. Nobody really wants to hire teenagers during the summer, not this summer. With unemployment what it is right now, it's not really top of most businesses' priorities to have interns in there. The research opportunities, well, when you're trying to social distance, the in-lab activities are not going to be a possibility either. So that's another void that might be cropping up. And the jobs, the ones that do exist, are usually not the ones that are going to be leaning toward teenagers. You know, there are still some fast food jobs available, but a lot of other things, a lot of kids just work at movie theaters and things like that. That's not happening for at least the first part of the summer. Maybe in the back part of the summer, things might change, but as of now, it's not really a possibility. So with all these things going away, what should the kids be doing? What should all these students be doing? Perhaps the real question is, why should I be doing these things over the summer? I know I hear very often from students who come to me, and even my own daughter, it's summer, I want to be playing, why should I have to be doing other things beyond that? Isn't it enough that I can just enjoy myself over the course of the summer? And when you're younger, that's generally true, but by the time you start moving into high school, summer becomes a prime opportunity to do one of a few things. So perhaps what most students who are doing, those who have already kind of hit on something they like to do, they're saying, hey, how can I take what I like to do and do something more with it? You know, maybe somebody is into rocketry and is thinking, well, now that it's summer and I don't have quite the schedule I did during the school year, what could I do with that? Maybe they will get some sort of rocket kits that they can do in their backyard. Maybe they'll do some online research about rocketry. That's further exploring one's passions. For those who aren't quite sure what they should be doing or want to be doing on the longer scale, this is the time to try new stuff. You know, there are lots and lots of ways that you can kind of poke at something to see if it's something you're interested in. You know, if you're not sure you're into computers, for example, you could take a course in computers, figure out if it's something you're into. If you're thinking about art, why not try it? Trying things is a great way to spend one summer. Of course, with a lot of these places closed, it's going to be a bit different, but it's still not impossible. It's also a time where a student could develop new skills, like coding, like playing an instrument, like speaking a different language. These are all things that can happen. And though they won't be in person, there will still be ways to get around it. Another reason you should be doing summer activities is you need to demonstrate initiative. That is really part of the college application process. When colleges are evaluating students, yes, they have grades as one of the metrics, and yes, they have test scores, but it seems like those might be fading away over time, or at least in their level of importance. So you can show a college that you are a person who is both curious and passionate by doing activities during the summer that reflect either your curiosity or your passions. So either through that exploring or through just taking a wide net approach to trying different things until you find what you like. Summer is also a time to get a sense of what your college options are. That can manifest in a few ways. One, it could be by touring colleges, which this year not going to happen so much. It could be by taking online college courses or in-person college courses, if the case may be, to get a sense of what the schools have to offer and what being a college student is like. Great thing you can do during the summer. And then lastly, as I said before, given what's happening this year with the virus, we know that many schools are saying that the SAT and the ACT are going to be test optional this year. And the UC has even gone so far to say that a few years down the road, the SAT and ACT are going to be not even accepted. So that being the case, and with things like GPA also being kind of hampered this year, a lot of schools have gone to a pass, no pass system for the second semester of this academic year. Well, those who had really high grades prior to going pass, no pass, are now going to find that they weren't able to achieve as high a GPA as they might have otherwise. So now that that has been kind of damped down a bit, and now that the test scores are not as valuable, well, that means the other stuff has to be more valuable. And what other stuff is that? Well, it's how you spend your extra time during the school year in extracurricular activities, and it's also how you spend your summers. So even with all that's going on, and even with all these programs being shut down, there is still value in doing something with your summer, something meaningful with your summer, not playing League of Legends. So what options do still exist? And I will go through each of these one by one to give you a sense of what possibilities there are. Not every student has to do everything on this list. That is highly impractical. The idea here is to find things that are relevant to your specific situation and possibly cobble together like 2 or 3 that would all address your interest in the best way possible. So first and foremost are online classes and virtual volunteering, which even though we're all stuck at home, yes, it turns out there's still many ways you can volunteer. There's remote internships and research. Even though it's not quite the same as it is in person, there are ways that we can get around that. There's still working from home jobs and freelancing, ways to make money, even if you're not going into a business. There are self-directed projects, which is where a student has an idea and carries it through to fruition, making something in the process that they can then share with the world. And then, if you happen to be a junior who's becoming a senior, you have your college applications to tend to, and that does take a long enough time that it's worth spending summer doing part of it. So let's take a look at each of these things one by one. So first and foremost, online classes. Are online classes the same as in-person classes? Of course not. Can a lot of the content be conveyed in a similar way? And can the student learn just as much in those classes if the student is kind of proactive and attentive to both the sessions and the work that's being assigned? Yes. But online classes come in a few different varieties and they serve different purposes. So it's a good idea to know what those options are. So first of all, who should be taking online classes? In truth, anybody could be taking online classes, but the ones I'm going to be focusing on specifically here are for those kids who are going to be in grades 9 through 12. Those that rising to those grades. So first and foremost are the college classes. Many colleges have moved their curriculum online. Many of them do offer those classes to students who are still in high school. Depending on which provider it is, may determine what requirements you have to meet in order to take those classes. But by and large, especially if you're in 11th or 12th grade, there isn't much problem in taking these online classes. So there's a few different ways to look at this. First and foremost, there are the 4-credit classes, meaning if you take the class at this college, you will receive a transcript, it will have a grade, and that grade will follow you around. So there's a benefit to this, of course, that is you are getting college credit while still in high school. And when you apply to college for your undergrad, they'll see that and say, here's a student who's not afraid to take a challenge by taking a college level course. And if you do well in that course, you're also showing them, hey, I can do well in a college level course. The downside, though, is if you take the course and you do badly, it is a real grade on a real transcript and it does follow you around. Meaning, when you do apply to college, you need to send your transcripts from every place that you received credit, your high school and any online college or in-person college classes you've taken. And if the grades are not indicating that you would do well in a college class, it won't necessarily be helping you. So, pros and cons of each of those. The ones that I have listed here for the 4-credit classes, I put 2 of our local guys, IVC EDU and UCI EDU, so Irvine Valley College and UC Irvine. But I also added the online provider that's probably been online providing for the longest as far as high school and college classes go, and that is independent study at Brigham Young University. So these 3 are online providers that you can get college credit through. But there's a different kind of college class you can also do online, and those are typically free. So the not-for-credit classes you can find at sites like edX or Coursera. These classes are the same level that are taught at the universities that are presenting them. The only difference is you're sitting in, and when it's done, you've learned something, but you don't have any college credit for it. Is there a benefit in taking these classes? Absolutely. Learning shouldn't only be done for credit. If there is something that you are interested in, and you're not sure if you could do well on it for credit, you might as well take it as a non-credited class. And these are usually more forgiving in terms of pacing too. They're very often self-paced. You start and end when you feel you're ready to. Not all of them, but some of them are like that. So those are the college level classes that you could be doing this summer. There's also the option to be doing high school classes during the summer. Now, people have traditionally done high school classes during the summer for a few different reasons. Probably the most common one is to satisfy graduation requirements. It is universal in the IUSD that health is a required class. A lot of kids don't want to waste time during the school year, not waste, but they want to use it for full year class as opposed to a semester long class like health. So they move it toward the summertime and they get the health class taken care of then. That is still an option. There are online health classes you could take over the summer. You might also want to take a bridge class. A bridge class is one that will take you from, let's say, a math class that you had just finished in this previous year, and it is kind of a primer toward a higher level math that you could take in the following year. And while these are typically done in person, there has been talk, I'm not sure if it's confirmed yet, that these will be online as well this year. And beyond that, there are remediation classes that people can take. Remediation is for students who have gotten either a D or F in a class during a previous semester, and they are looking to kind of fix it. If you remediate a class that you got a D or F in, the grade that you get in the remediated class will be the new grade that shows up on your transcript. Granted, both grades show up on your transcript, but colleges are supposed to only calculate that new remediated grade in the overall GPA. So if there was anything that went wrong during the course of the year and you got a D or an F, there's a chance that you can slide into a higher grade by remediating. If you have a C in a class or a B and you take it over again, they do not replace the grade with the new grade, they just average them together. So generally speaking, save that for if you need to get rid of a D or an F. Remediation classes are also available online. So if there's anything from the past year that needs to be redone, there's going to be an option available for that too. There's also high school level classes referred to as preview classes. These are the types like we have at PA College Prep, where you would kind of look ahead to what the subject's going to offer over the course of the semester. That way, when you see it, when it does count for credit, you already have a pretty good sense of how all the pieces fit together, and it's not going to be quite so overwhelming. So preview classes exist for pretty much every discipline that is offered at high school, and they are typically done at places like PA College Prep, prep academies like us. Those aren't the only kinds of online classes though. We also have specialized summer programs. By we, I mean, yes, our academy, but as do many other places. These programs are such that they have one very strict focus. There are lots of STEM and engineering focused ones that have building robots or making model cars and stuff like that you can control through voice. There's lots of art focused programs where you can do an intensive art, really immerse yourself over the course of the summer. And there's also some business programs as well as other disciplines where it's a chance to get a sense of what that field is like in a very quick, immersive, dunking kind of way. There's also some skill building courses that you can do online. The ones I listed here are perhaps some of the more commonly seen ones like coding or speech and debate or any of the different types of crafts that one could make. These are tasks that can be learned, and once you learn them, you can go in many different directions with them. And then a final type of online class you can do for the summer is test preparation. Now, I said before that test prep or testing, the ACT and the SAT, are on the outs. It's optional for the next few years for the UCs, and then it's going to be no more. But in truth, that's the UCs, and people don't typically only apply to the UCs or Cal State. There's usually other schools that show up on people's college list. So to make sure that your bases are covered, or if you have a GPA that is good but not great, and you want to show that you are capable of handling material at a national level, well, these standardized tests still do that. The tests will still be around even if fewer colleges are requiring them. They're still going to accept them by and large. So if you can have a really good score on one of these tests, it will help in the long run. So what kind of test prep is available during the summer? Yes, there's SAT and ACT. Those are kind of the big guns of the testing world. But if you want to show that you have a specialized knowledge in a particular area, you can also prep for an SAT subject test, be it math or history or a language. Summer is a great time to kind of cram some information in. It's a good 8 to 10 week run where you can try to maximize your knowledge of the specific field and then take either the August or this year, September, October, November test dates. And then lastly, for those who don't speak English as a first language, who came to the US maybe just at the start of high school, colleges by and large if you have not spent the entirety of your high school career in the US, would like to see a TOEFL score, the test of English as a foreign language, you can prep for that over the summer as well. It's an intensive English class, and it will get you up and running and ready to take the TOEFL test. That is one test that is not going to be optional, at least anytime soon. It is now available online all over the world. It used to just be in certain areas, but now you can be anywhere in the world and take TOEFL online. It's worth doing if you're going to be studying a college in the US and have not been the entirety of your high school experience in the US. So that's online classes. But classes are not the only thing you could be doing with your summer. And quite frankly, even if you took 2 online classes over the course of the summer, that might occupy 8 to 10 hours a week of your time. That's not really filling a summer schedule. And yes, there should be time to have fun as much as we can within our houses now. But you can find other things to do with that time that will be more productive as far as colleges are concerned. Volunteering is something that high school students have been doing or have been required to do for a long time now. And just because you are not able to go out to like a food bank or to a senior center doesn't mean that volunteering opportunities are gone. They've just changed their format. Volunteering hours that you get for doing things online can still count toward volunteer service awards, like the Presidential Service Award or the Congressional Award. And many high schools still strongly recommend, if not required, depending which high school you go to, about 25 hours of volunteering per year. That being the case, why not use summer to get some of those hours under your belt? What kind of stuff can you be doing virtual volunteering? A lot of the ones that I've been seeing recently are in these 5 categories, and I suppose there's a logic to it. Obviously, health has become a major volunteering center. There's lots of requests for sewing of masks. There's lots of requests for websites to have people kind of update them with the latest information, all geared right now toward addressing some of the issues with COVID-19. So there's a lot of those available. There's also social volunteering things, and this is a few different ways this one manifests. There's social in the way that people are asking for students to communicate with those in senior centers. Many senior centers have kind of like minimized contact with the outside world. There's a lot of opportunities for students to either write cards for or email seniors, kind of start like a pen pal relationship. And then there's also social as in the social media for nonprofit companies who are looking for someone who can help manage their front-facing operation, somebody who can post to their feeds and keep people up to date on what the business is doing. So both social media and social interaction fall into that category. The technical volunteering, there are lots of opportunities I've seen that require people to either help building a website or to help those who are not too computer savvy figure out some of the issues they're having. That's also available. There's education opportunities, which mostly are tutoring. There's a lot of tutoring opportunities, especially because everything has gone online. Some students are struggling in that format. That's where tutors can come in and be a one-on-one lifeline for those students. And then environmental issues. While people aren't really going out and picking up trash or stuff like they used to do for the environmental issues, there are still a lot of online opportunities where students can be disseminators of information in regards to how people can help minimize their impact on the environment. So all these opportunities still exist, and where can one find them? In this one, I did put a few resources that you can check out. Volunteer Crowd, Volunteer Match, and Idealist are all sites that you can search to find virtual-only volunteering. Once you find an opportunity that you like, it usually gives you contact information. And then with that contact information, you just say, I'm interested in this opportunity. Please send me more information. And then you sign up. you get your assignment, and then you go for it. All right, so classes, volunteering, two great ways to spend the summer. But what about the remote internships and research? Going to a lab is a very hands-on experience. Certainly, it can't be duplicated online. Well, not all the experiences can, but there still are a lot of remote internships and research opportunities available. These are usually age restrictive though, meaning they typically like to have ages 16 and up. So if you are a freshman, the odds are you won't be able to get one of these, but you might. The ones I have listed here, just as an example, yes, we have our own internships and research projects at PA College Prep. This summer in particular, we're doing a self-driving car project as well as an eco-friendly project. So each of these is going to be primarily done online. I think the idea is that down the road there will be a face-to-face component with them. But feel free to give us a call and we can tell you more about those. And then there's the other types of internships and research, the types that we are more familiar with, the types that existed before, the university-based ones, which are the ones we typically think of as happening in labs, and then the company-based research or internships, where we typically think of mom or dad's friend is hooking up the kid with a job for the summer. So both of these things exist online, but not in the same way. So where can one find online internships and research? The biggest source is probably that one that I have listed here, and yes, it's a long link. I apologize for that. Feel free to take a screenshot of it right now. This site has more than 70, at last I counted, different internships and research opportunities available, most of which are online. So it's worth scouring through there to find something. It's categorized by different fields, be it something in the business world, STEM. So whatever your interest is, there's going to be something corresponding there. There's also some programs like the Summer STEM Institute, which is specifically a STEM-oriented program. There's also one called Pioneer Academy, I believe, that also does online research opportunities. And for questions, I will get to the questions at the end. So feel free to type questions in, and they will be addressed when we get to the home stretch here. All right, so work from home jobs and freelancing. Maybe you don't want to do research or an internship that doesn't pay. Maybe you want to have something else during the summer that actually pays you as well. It can still be done. It can still be done without leaving the house. Does it have value? Well, yes. Much like with internships and research opportunities, working from home jobs and freelancing shows that you are determined. It shows you are committed. It shows you are responsible. You are being asked to perform tasks. You're being asked to hit deadlines. So they all have value. They all show colleges that you are capable, that you are mature, that you are somebody who would excel at their college. So what kind of work from home jobs or freelancing can you do? Well, though probably not most people's favorite choice, there are a lot of customer service positions that are either computer-based or phone-based. One that comes to mind is the U-Haul company, which when last I saw was hiring ages 16 plus to answer customer service questions. I'm not sure how the business is going at the moment, but they say that they are still hiring for that position. So there's also quality assurance. There are a lot of tech companies that look for students to kind of test the tires on different applications to see if they are functional, to see if there's bugs. The QA employee then has to kind of list the bugs and then send it in so that they can be addressed. Those positions are still fairly easy to find nowadays. There's tutoring. While you could do it for virtual volunteering. Tutoring is also something you can do for money. It doesn't have to be through an organization that is just for service hours. You could be your own entrepreneur and do tutoring yourself, just connect with students who need you. There are writing jobs available, and this can take a few different forms. There are a few web-based logs. There's one called Helium that comes to mind that pay students for contributing writing to the site. Kind of a revenue sharing position. You can also be writing for a blog of your own design, which you are monetizing in some way. You can also be writing with the intent of publishing, and that can be monetized as well. Maybe you have an idea for a novel, maybe you have an idea for a how-to book. Summer's a way you could put that writing to use and then make something of it. And then the last one here, the selling self-made products. This has really boomed in recent years. If you think of sites like Etsy, where people have made their own little stores where whatever they are making, they are then turning around and selling. This is a great way to show that you're entrepreneurial, that you can deliver a product and that you can keep customers satisfied. It's a great way to show that you have a business sense about you. So if business is something you are considering down the road, that might be a good way to go. Each of these kind of touches on different fields, much like with the research and internships. Whatever field you are interested in exploring or have already decided you have a passion for and want to go deeper into, you can find something corresponding that will support that. It's just a matter of sifting through to find, the gems that really apply to you. So the last, not last, but near last one, are the self-directed projects. So let's say students at home doesn't really shine to the things I've mentioned so far, isn't into doing another class. They just had class all year long, especially the Zoom classes for the last few months. They've had enough. So maybe they don't want to do that. Their volunteering hours are through the roof. They don't really want to do that anymore. Well, maybe it's time for something different, a self-directed project. Any student of any age can do this. What this is taking an idea that you have about something that you want to make or learn more about, and then following that through all the way until you have made something that you can share with the world. There are a few people who are in this room right now in the attendance, I can see, who are doing projects for the summer. I know one guy I see here is doing a podcast. Yes, there he is. It's a way to really dig deep into your interests. So you could start a website, a blog, a video log, that's the blog, or a YouTube channel about something you're interested in. When you are truly passionate about something, your passion kind of irradiates from you. And it becomes very apparent to anybody that you're talking about, about passion with, that you are committed to that idea and will probably follow that idea through till college. Colleges can see that too. If you make one of these things, a website, a blog, a YouTube channel, and you keep it alive through the time you apply to college, you are inviting the admissions officers to share something that you are passionate about with them. And in doing so, you're really highlighting how much it means to you and how hard you will work at that university in that passion. So these are great ways to go. Of course, if you don't really have anything that lights your fire quite that much, if there is not a singular passion that is going to drive you, maybe not the best way to go. It's hard to fake passion. People can usually sense when you're just kind of going through the motions. But you could do something else. Much like with the selling products through Etsy, you can create your own business from out of your own house. The business could be one of many things. I have had students in the past who have made very good businesses out of selling digital currency from games. I know parents aren't thrilled with that, but strangely, it's a high-paying gig. But you can also do other things out of the house that will make money. I know there's a few students I've had in the past who were kind of self-taught in how to make apps for iPhone and Android, and they would hire themselves out to companies who needed a relatively simple application for their company to use. So they would work from home, they would make the apps, they would send them in, they'd get the bug reports, they fix it up, and they put it out there. It's totally possible to do that. If you have any skill that you could, that other people would find value in, then you can have a business where somebody will pay you to do that skill. Developing and making your own invention. This is probably one of the harder ones to do on this list, but I have seen it pay off very well for some students, both in terms of it made them money, but also in that colleges really gravitate to somebody who could take an idea and bring it all the way to, to a store, which is what a few of my students have done in the past. I did have one student, I think it was 2 years ago at this point, who had made a specialized type of dog leash that wouldn't choke the dog if the dog took off on you. He got a patent for it. He ended up selling it to a maker of a product. I guess the word is eluding but somebody who took a product and really ran with it. Consequently, he made a good chunk of change from it. But when it came time to apply to college, even better, he said, "I am the creator of this product, which you can find in stores." So if there is an idea, if there is a need that you think has to be filled and you have an idea for how to do it, maybe you do devote some time to figuring out how it could be done and then taking it to the next level of getting a patent for it and taking it to the next level and having it mass produced. And then lastly, at least on this list, and obviously there's more than what is listed here, join or create an online community that discusses or explores your interests. A lot of communities already exist around the different passions that people have, but if you're finding that you have particular interests that you're having difficulty finding others to discuss it with because it's too kind of eclectic, it's too kind of niche, well, make an online presence and invite others who have that interest to join you. Most social media sites do have places where you can create groups, and in those groups, it's a place, forum for people to discuss things of common interest. Or make a website about that interest, and then open up boards so that you can see who else is interested in what they have to say. It's a great way to explore an idea more fully. That leaves us with our students who are about to enter 12th grade. So everything mentioned prior to this could be done by people who are in younger grades, who are transitioning to their next level. The current juniors, though, those who are going to be seniors, have a particular set of considerations. One is that their GPAs from this last semester are all now pass or no pass. Two, a lot of their SAT and ACT scores are going to be kind of devalued. When tests become optional, they do lose a bit of luster, but not totally, just a bit. So they need to do the things that were mentioned previously, but now they also have to deal with the actual college application process. So what kind of things could they be doing over the summer to really maximize their final run as they apply to college? One of the things they could be doing, especially when developing their college list, is taking virtual tours. Now, there are lots of virtual tours and open houses that colleges offer. And these things usually require the student to register, which is good because the student's name is now on a roster of people who are, have shown interest, demonstrated interest. And demonstrated interest is one thing that colleges have increasingly put importance on. If you can show that you are serious about your choice of colleges that you're applying to, colleges respond well to that, saying, this student is serious about coming to our college. They're not just applying to our college because it was on the common application and it was easy. They're doing it because they found something of value either through an open house or a virtual tour, and they are targeting our school specifically. So if you are a junior now about to be a senior, please find a way to do some virtual tours or open houses for schools that are of interest. So the online information sessions, that is the other part I was talking about, if not a tour, the online information sessions. Determining the list of colleges to apply to. With these tours, with these online sessions, as you learn more about the schools, you have an opportunity to kind of whittle down the infinite list of possibilities to a reasonable number of schools that you're going to apply to. There are more than 4,000 colleges in the US of varying degrees. Nobody's going to apply to that many. On average in Orange County, we're talking about 10 to 12 schools per student. That seems to be about the average, with the UCs accounting for one, because it's essentially one application for the different campuses. So how do we get down from the 4,000 list to a list that's 10 to 12? Well, we start by filtering out schools by majors. If you know what you want to study, not every school will be good at it, so you can filter that way. You filter by location. A lot of people don't want to go where it snows. Some people want to get out of California, so they only look outside, but that will also be a limiting factor. There'll be things like costs, facilities, programs like study abroad. Each of these data points kind of shrinks the list until we get to a list that's about 10 to 12 schools long, at which point the student really should be taking the virtual tours, and the student should be on the online information sessions, the open houses, asking questions about the programs and really locking in to those schools. So that's something that happens during the summer as well. It's a good use of time during the summer. During the summer is also when you need to kind of take stock of everything you're going to need to apply to college. Obviously, there's essays, and that takes perhaps the most time. But you're also going to need things like recommendations. You have to kind of figure out who is going to be the best person to ask, best people to ask for recommendations. And it's also a time to consider if you're going to need a portfolio and what that portfolio contains. If you are an artist, if you are a musician, if you are somebody who makes films, if you are somebody who does scientific research, all of these things can be a value-added piece when you apply to college. So during the summer is a time to think of what pieces do I need and how can I get them together over the summer. The actual personal statements themselves are a good way to spend summer time as well. There's always one main essay for the Common App, which is the application that most schools use when applying to college. And then typically there's the UC application, which has 4 essays of its own. So by and large, students have at a minimum 5 applications to contend with. If they're doing Cal State, luckily no essays there. But every school that is added on the Common Application, be it private or public from another state, usually has supplemental essays on top of that. On average, it seems that students have about 15 to 20 different essays to write for the college application process. So if you are a current junior becoming a senior, you can imagine a good portion of your summer will involve that as well. Filling in the applications themselves is not terribly time consuming. It's a data entry thing more than anything else. There is some strategizing in how to position the different activities and awards, but largely it's just making things typed neatly. It's a day probably for that, but it's something that could be done during the summer as well. And then there's always I put these pieces together. Are they saying what I want them to say? Ask somebody outside if what you're presenting is what you think you're presenting to colleges. All that can happen during the summer because when senior year starts for these kids, they're going to have to go back to school, and that takes a lot of time. So the more you can do during the summer, if you are a rising senior, the better off you're going to be. All right, so specifically, because this is a PA College Prep webinar, and if you've joined us in past weeks, thank you for coming back. And if this is your first time, welcome. We will be doing these once per week. It's not the same person every time. We rotate through the different counselors so you can get a sense of who we are, and we're all going to talk about topics that are relevant to what's happening now and for rising seniors who are going to be applying very shortly. At PA College Prep specifically, what do we offer? We do have counseling for students grades 7 through 12. If you are anywhere in that range, feel free to set up a free 30-minute appointment with one of our counselors to talk about your specific situation. And we'll be happy to give you more specifics. This, of course, is a broad stroke presentation because everybody's coming from different positions. But we are having a 6-week summer for credit classes. And that is largely because Pacific Academy, which is behind me, and PA College Prep are affiliated. The PA of PA College Prep is actually from Pacific Academy, which is the high school that we share the space with. So we do offer classes that are for credit. If you are thinking of either filling a gap that you have in your academic planner there, we certainly have a class to fit that. They will be online, so no worries. Nobody will be getting too close there. And then there's going to be a 10-week, a little more than 10 weeks, I think they calculated, 4-credit AP classes. If you're looking to do an AP class online, we're also going to be offering those, and there'll be an 8-week pre-test prep just beforehand. So that is one of the options we're having for the summer. There's going to be a summer music camp with the affiliated nonprofit Pacific Academy Foundation Orchestra. That is a enterprise that we've had here for a few years now. They do a lot of charity concerts for different causes. This year they'll be doing a few different things. They'll be having a virtual concert, essentially like a Zoom concert. We'll be doing one of those. And there's also a goal to do an in-person benefit concert in November. So that's something that if you are a musician, you may want to consider. It's a way to use a skill that you have during the summer for a valuable cause, get some volunteering hours, as well as work on your music. And as mentioned before, there is going to be the self-driving car project, which will be primarily online, and the eco-friendly project, more details of which will be available online shortly. So that is the gist of our what we can be doing during the summer. I will now look in the Q&A here and see what we got. For the university-based internships, do we have to sign up for it and pay for it? So it depends on the university. By and large, you shouldn't be paying for a university-based internship. There are some companies that connect people with internships, and they do charge. The best practice is to read the fine print before jumping into anything. Every institution has its own policies, its own way of doing things. So it's a matter of making sure that you are not paying for internships, but it's okay to have an unpaid internship where you do the work and don't get paid for it. You get paid in experience, but you shouldn't be paying for internships, if at all possible. Other questions? Is the 10 weeks 4-credit AP classes or projects open to the public? Yes, they are open to the public. Anybody who registers, you don't have to go to PA College Prep or Pacific Academy beforehand to take these classes. They are being made available to the public for the first time this summer. We realized that in being affiliated with a school, we had a lot of resources that others might appreciate. So we're doing that. So this year we're having the AP classes for anybody who wants them. Just got to call up the office and ask what the specifics are, and they will tell you for sure. What are the college prep office hours in the next week? In terms of somebody being present in the office, I don't know if there is. Lydia, you're somewhere in here, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yes, the phone line, the office phone line actually is already forwarded to my cell phone. So if you call
Okay.
the office phone line, it will be I'll be the one who answer it. And also, I believe your I can see the overhead, the projectors. So my phone line should be listed on there too, my cell phone line. So either one should work.
Fantastic. All right. Well, then, if that's all we got, our contact information is there. Like I said, if you have specific questions about your own situation and you want to set up a free 30-minute counseling, either with myself or one of the other counselors, by all means do so. We're always happy to talk to folks and learn about what they have in mind and what they're trying to achieve. So just give us a call and we'll hook you up. So thank you all for coming, and I will bid you a good night.